Ballantyne, the Gorilla Hunters, got that. So Dickens and Darwin and Gorillas. Where's that Darwin? Should be here. Ah, no. The Descent of Man. That's what I need. It should be there. Descent of Man. Okay, here we go. Welcome to the Bookman's crib. Let's take a look inside. I don't believe it. No books. Come on. Now, if any of you have been watching Dickens Company, you'll know I've pulled this stunt before. So let's have a look behind these doors. Number 1. Not sure. Number 2, I don't know. Number 3 could be. Oh, there's a light on in here. Let's try number 4. Ah, ladies, long time no see. As you can see, I've got company again. So if you wouldn't mind, could you possibly vacate while I do a little bit of filming? Wow, that was a surprise. Well, here we are in the Bookman's crib. And as this is a Dickens Company video, I'll change for the part. Okay, take a look around. Let's start here. This entire column of books is devoted to Samuel Beckett. Now you all know Samuel Beckett, Nobel Prize winning playwright and novelist, and I was on the conference circuit for 20 years talking about my research into Beckett, and here's my book on Beckett. And what about Beckett and Dickens? Well, there's not a lot to say, but I will say that he read Dickens in his youth. He actually mentions reading Oliver Twist, and he makes a reference, a very obscure reference, to Little Dorrit in one of his novels. But other than that, I'd say the link between Beckett and Dickens is not too strong. But wow, this is a collection of just about everything that Beckett wrote in English and in French, because of course he was a bilingual author. Let's move over here. Take a look down here. These 3 rows here and these 2 rows here, they're all devoted to the works of Baroness Emushka Orczy, who by the name you can tell was Hungarian, but believe it or not, she wrote over 40 novels in English, which was her 4th language. The most famous of her books is The Scarlet Pimpernel. This is the first edition from 1905, very, very rare. Really, The Scarlet Pimpernel was the first, what shall I say, superhero who was able to change his shape and appearance, a sort of Incredible Hulk in a way. But there we are, that's The Scarlet Pimpernel. Link between Orczy and Dickens, well, her area was historical fiction, and she was inspired by the French Revolution, famously represented in Dickens through Tale of Two Cities. And another link is that she wrote an introduction to Little Dorrit, who I already mentioned in connection with Beckett, for a centenary edition of Dickens's works in 1912. Okay, over here, these are the works of William Clark Russell. Celebrated nautical novelist. Nobody reads him anymore because he was writing about the era of sailing ships, and you have to have a really detailed technical knowledge to follow what's going on in the rigging and on the sailing ship. But anyway, this is a pretty comprehensive collection of Clark Russell's works. His most famous novel is The Wreck of the Grosvenor, and I'm looking for a copy of it here. Can't see one, so we'll probably have to do a cut. Here's The Wreck of the Grosvenor, and this isn't the one I was looking for. So, here we go. Wreck of the Grosvenor, this is his most famous novel. Little known story is that William Clark Russell, born in 1844, went to school with Francis Dickens, Dickens's son. and they were at school together in Boulogne. So Dickens sent 3 of his sons simultaneously off to Boulogne to study there. And at the age of 12, Frank Dickens wrote back to his father saying that he and Clark Russell, aged 12, were going to run away from school to go lion hunting in Africa. Well, Dickens wasn't too impressed by this idea, and he wrote back saying, "Get on with your studies, boy, and leave that to men. You can go exploring when you're older." So they took his advice and carried on with their studies. But only a year later, Clark Russell enrolled as a midshipman in the Merchant Navy and spent 8 years at sea. And this formed the basis of the experience on which he built his novels. Frank Dickens, meanwhile, he went off to India as a policeman, then worked for Dickens in the office of All the Year Round, before going off to Canada, where he was a Mountie in the Canadian Mounted Police. So that's an interesting link. Over here, this beautiful set of books here, this takes me back to my earliest days of book collecting. In fact, the first book that I specifically bought in 1985 as a collectible item is this, More Tramps Abroad by Mark Twain. So this is Mark Twain's works, mostly in English, beautiful editions from Chatto and Windus from the 1880s and 1890s. Mark Twain, of course, was a pseudonym. The author's real name was Samuel Clemens. So there's a similarity between Twain and Dickens. Dickens, of course, starting his career as Boz. He then became Charles Dickens in his own name, but Mark Twain retained his pseudonym throughout his life. Another interesting link is that they were both obsessed with the lack of an international copyright law, and were furious that publishers in other countries were profiting from their works without them getting any financial reward. Of course, Dickens had this objection to America. Mark Twain, meanwhile, being an American author, had the same objection about piracies in Britain. And of course they were both famous readers, reading from their works, and Dickens just went on a tour of North America, whereas Mark Twain went on a world tour, even giving a lecture series in India. So, now what did I come here for? Darwin and Dickens. Darwin and Dickens. It's here somewhere, I think. Here we go. The Descent of Man. That's what I was looking for. It's even got a bookmark in it. Okay, that's all for now. See you. Oh, well, that was the first of a new series of videos I'm going to be doing exploring the Bookman's crib. Door number 1, door number 2, door number 3, door number 4. You choose which one we go in next, because actually there are 6 rooms to explore. See you next time.
This is the end, beautiful friend.